Hey, it's Mike from Who's Your Senpai, and welcome back to Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. In this episode, or in the last episode, we got to the library. Let me turn the light back on. There we go. And I don't remember what we're supposed to be looking for, so we're just gonna kind of wander. As you can see, I kind of have a sore throat. So we'll see how this goes. Richard Morton, back from an exploration in front of one of his ships. The history of the famous Boston dynasty is a tale full of unexplained events, surprises, and troubles. Some will claim my only goal in telling it is to damage the reputation of the most legendary fortune of Massachusetts. I would like to say in my defense that I am simply doing my duty as a historian. My account is based on reliable sources and interviews with witnesses who, though they may be evasive, are no less worthy of our interest. If I echo certain rumors, it is in the belief that they too are constitutive of the Morton family history. Okay. Contract for the exploitation of natural resources in Puebla, Venezuela, signed by a representative of the Venezuelan government and by Richard Morton. The Morton family roots in America go back to this time of the great demographic changes during the decades following the founding of the U.S. Although it is impossible to reconstruct the family history further back than the beginning of the 19th century, it appears the family originated from the small town of Whitechapel in Sussex, England. It was Robert Morton, a linen merchant, who led his family to the American continent in 1823. He built his first paper factory on the height of Beacon Hill. The success of Morton Papers was dazzling. It was Richard Morton who, though his older brother, who founded the real Morton Empire by creating the Morton Oil Company on March 23, 1889, at the age of 37. The Iceman. The Morton family history of secrecy started with the discovery of a man in the ice during one of his company's prospecting expeditions in Greenland between 1891 and 93. Richard Morton, the influential public figure, became incredibly reclusive, abandoning the powerful Boston society circles he frequented, to launch himself into daring expeditions that led him back, time after time, to the sites of the first macabre discovery. Deserto is in the background. To assist in his missions, which sometimes ended in human and financial disaster, he called upon Swedish and Norwegian sailors and mercenaries, among whom was a certain Judas Deserto. Deserto was a risk-taker, a warrior and a clairvoyant, interested in the arts of black magic. He was a suspicious character who seemed to have great influence over Richard Morton. The exact cause of this terrible accident was never discovered. Against expectations, the family business was flourishing. The Morton Oil Company won over market after market in Venezuela and Indonesia and in the North Sea. Its competitors, meanwhile, were struck by a string of surprising misfortunes. Their key negotiators in accidents, their directors developed mental health problems, and their lawyers would cave in suddenly, agreeing to disadvantageous settlements. No public or private investigation managed to pin a criminal charge on the Morton Group. The family fortune was known to be huge, however no one knew how huge. Gibson around 1900. Samuel Gibson entered into Richard Morton's service on June 20th, 1899. This brilliant student had a knack for deciphering ancient languages. It turns out that Morton had entrusted him with the translation of inscriptions on tablets, found near the famous Iceman. Gibson's work led Richard Morton to Shadow Island. Offshore view of Shadow Island. Okay. The fort that overlooks the island's bleak moors had been abandoned for a good 20 or so years. Soldiers stationed there had experienced hallucinations or suffered sudden bouts of sheer madness. Others simply disappeared without a trace. I should also mention a strange legend that claims the chapel, situated near the fort, had been the site of strange rituals during the 17th century, during which human sacrifices might have been taking place. The state of Massachusetts needs no convincing when Richard Morton offered to buy Shadow Island, which he did for a nominal sum. It seems that, to start with, Richard Morton wanted to make the fort his home. He spent a real fortune and superhuman efforts on the task before abandoning the idea. He elected instead to build a strange manor on the south side of the island. His decisions to buy Shadow Island and live there was because the engravings on the stone tablets were similar to those found in the island's deepest underground passageways. Letters from Gibson to his fiancée dated October 14, 1902. As work on translation of the engravings advanced, relations between Morton and Gibson deteriorated. The student relished the romanticism of his work, whereas Morton seemed devoured by a destructive passion. What's more, Gibson's discoveries seemed to terrify him. He confided his worries and fears in a long letter addressed to his young fiancée, who had stayed on the mainland. This was the last that was heard of him. Gibson's mother later received his terse message. Your son has disappeared. His body has not been found. My condolences. Signed, Richard Morton. And that's a search warrant. The peak of Richard Morton's disturbing activity coincided with a wave of disappearances among the young girls of Boston's poorer neighborhoods. This is the most disturbing episode of his life. It is my definite belief that, driven by the evil Diserto, the founder of the Morton dynasty, was practicing black magic rituals involving the sacrifice of innocent souls. Without doubt, in the very chapel sacrifice had taken place 3 centuries earlier. To what end, I do not know. The first disappearances started in October/November 1903. They continued with the frightening regularity of one a month, increasingly during periods of equinox, until Richard Morton died on April 13, 1905. On this date, the disappearances mysteriously stopped. Archibald Morton as a child. In 1874, Archibald Morton was born, the only child of Richard Morton and Susan Chalmers, the youngest daughter of Lord Chalmers. A ruined aristocrat and opium addict, while the Morton Oil Company business prospered, Archibald devoted his youth to the study of the polar circles. Like his father, he mounted many expeditions. Like his father, he also developed a fascination for Shadow Island and its strange secrets. Young Polynesian men and women in the hold of a ship. It was slowly emerging that large numbers, young men and women, were uprooted from their distant homelands and taken to the island from as early as the end of 1905. Archibald was, in this manner, more discreet than his father. Evidence of this is found not only in the accounts of some sailors, but also in the written confessions of slave trader Thomas Plunkett, in which Diserto's name is cited several times. It seems, however, that no trace of these unfortunate men and women have ever been found on this island. Archibald Morton and Jennifer Pritchett. In 1897, Archibald Morton married his first wife, Jennifer Pritchett, a pastor's daughter and a renowned organist. She was a devout Christian and wrote long letters to her father recounting her disgust for her husband and her despair. The pastor, however, had disappeared the day after the marriage. The undelivered letters were kept in the postal archives, where I discovered them still sealed. While Archibald threatened her with uncommon cruelty, she nevertheless gave birth to his son in 1899. Jeremy Morton as a child. Jeremy was of a weak and delicate nature, but early in life he already showed signs of exceptional intelligence. He too was haunted by the secrets of Shadow Island, but his general approach was more scientific. Jeremy Morton was an inventor. The breadest and originality of his inventions, which he never even bothered to patent, is highly impressive. He attended congresses and addressed conferences in 1922. He struck up a lasting friendship with one of the last descendants of the Abcanis tribe, Joseph Edenja. The Native Americans settled on Shadow Island in 1924. Invoice from the noble company addressed to Jeremy Morton. Explosives, phosphorus, magnesium. Interesting. It appears that Jeremy Morton collected a considerable arsenal of weaponry. In less than 3 years, he ordered over 200 pounds of explosives from the Nobel Company in Boston, along with large quantities of phosphorus and magnesium. Jeremy Morton and Joseph Edenshaw. The last 10 years of Jeremy Morton's life were the most secretive and mysterious. In his youth and middle age, the inventor genius hobnobbed with the cream of society. He spent his old age, however, as a recluse on the island. Some accounts of this period make the blood run cold. One example is the marriage of his son, Howard, born in 1931, to Lucy Dogan, for which he staged a reception on the island. Relations and members from a distant branch of the family were present. The party was disrupted by drama when the horrifically mutilated body of one of the guests was discovered in the park, adjacent to the manor. Lucy's brother, Michael Dogan, claimed to have seen a terrifying lizard-like creature with tentacles, arms with enormous fangs. The horrible mutilated body of one of the guests. There's no doubt in my mind that the members of the Morton family, Jeremy being no exception, undertook dangerous and frightening experiments on the corpses discovered by Richard and his successors. Experiments that interfered with nature's own course, resurrections from the dead, crossbreeding, genetic manipulation. And this looks like a genealogical tree or something. Oh, wasn't there... Oh, I think it's dates. Give me a second. I was just thinking about that. If we go here, we can look at that picture. Oh, not that. Not that one. Where is it? We had a picture somewhere. Didn't we have we had a photograph. No, not that one. Didn't we have a photograph? There's one. But where's the other one? I know it's not this one. We had one that had a skull in it, right? Oh well. Oh, there it is. It's an object. Examine. Okay, so it's 1408 to 2518. 1408 2518. That doesn't seem right. Let's just skip to the end of this. Come on. Okay, there's no 1508. The other number seems like it's way too big. Well, either way. Perhaps we can find some more clues. He doesn't have time to read, but he's got enough time to read those really long journal entries that are, like, ridiculous. Of course. Oh, there's a book. Why can't I get that? Okay. Whatever. It's oddly quiet in here. Okay, that's where I came from. Oh, here we go. Let's go up the stairs. I got a box of rockets. Okay. Oh, what's that? Okay. So this is some sort of puzzle. It's 4 digits. Let's go to the end of the journal. Okay. Let's go to documents. I could have sworn there was a picture of the library or something, right? Yeah, we're just gonna zoom through these and see if there's any maps or anything in them. Oh, here it is. The first is placed, the highest, the second is opposite. Space in the library represents the symbol. The symbol thus crosses the library from one side to the other. So I think 1 is where we're standing right now. I think. So maybe there's 4 other ones. It's talking about 2 symbols, one that represents darkness and one that represents light. 2 triangles juxtaposed in opposition. 4 books vertically in the space, representing this symbol. So there's 4 books in the library we have to find. Okay. Good to know. Oh, look, there's scratch marks on the floor. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no, that probably wouldn't work. We're looking for 4 numbers. Oh, what are you? Oh, I see. Yeah. So now we need the corner, right? Let me check. Okay, so now we need to go down to the bottom. Okay. If we see that thing, we need to kill it. Unless we can avoid it. Should be preferable, honestly. Gotta say, this flashlight's pretty handy. You can kind of like scan areas to see if there's an object you can interact with. Should be on the edge, I think. I mean, I would assume it'd be on the edge. Let me see. Alright, well, I just ran out of time, so I'll have to wait until the next episode. See you guys then.